Okay, we are going to go through the Bone ID warm-up number 2, all about skulls and male and female skulls. And you're going to want these pages in your reference tables. And like I've said before, you really should number them. Hit pause and number them if you haven't numbered them already. It'll make your life easier. Okay, so first up, we want to figure out which parts of the skull have these funny little names. Okay, so first up, the forehead. Forehead is right here. Okay, the forehead would be number 1. A would be the forehead. Okay, not 6. That's actually something else. That is the 6 is the brow ridge. Okay, on males, kind of where the eyebrows are. There is a bit of a ridge there, and that's called the brow ridge, or the supraorbital, meaning above the orbit of the eye ridge. So B would be 6. Okay, the occipital protuberance is this funny little bump at the back of the head that is bigger on males than on females. And the mastoid process is this little bump here. It's basically, if you were to take the jaw off, it is the bump at the bottom of the skull. Okay, so D is 4 and C is 3. Okay, and those come right off of the skull diagrams in your reference tables that are on a couple different pages. Those 2 pages of the skull diagrams, you see? Okay. All right, how can we use these characteristics to determine if a skull is male or female? Okay, I recommend you try doing this yourself. Hit pause and then check it with me. Or you can stop this video and you can just check it with the answer key if you're feeling comfortable. Okay, here we go. The forehead. On a male skull, the forehead will be more sloping or slanting. Okay? But on a female skull, it is more vertical and smooth. Okay. The male forehead is not totally smooth because it has that bump of a brow ridge here, whereas the female does not have that brow ridge that's quite so big or exaggerated. The brow ridge. A male skull will have a more prominent brow ridge or supraorbital ridge. Again, supra means above. Orbital refers to the opening of the eye. Occipital protuberance. This is a small bump on the back of the skull, and it is larger and more noticeable on a male skull. You can feel it at the back of your head, usually, especially if you're a male. Okay? Way at the back of your head, then just go down as your skull starts to curve inward. The mastoid process. The mastoid process is that bump that's kind of just back behind the jaw bone, and it is larger on a male and smaller on a female skull. Okay, moving on. All right, we're going to need the page 9 reference tables for this part. If you examine a victim's skull and the sagittal suture was closed, okay, do you have to know exactly where the sagittal suture is? You really don't, as long as you can find those words on this chart. Okay? Sagittal suture was closed. That happens at about age 32. Okay, so this person, we know from this, they are over 32. The coronal suture was not yet closed. The coronal suture closes at 50. So they are under 50. So now we've got a pretty good range for this person's age. They were between, I guess, let's say 33 to 49 years old when they died. Could they have been 32 or 31? Yes, these are averages. Okay. If a skeleton has ribs that are fractured, a fractured pelvis, as well as fractures on the back of the skull, what is the possible cause of a death or scenario for the death? A lot of possible things could cause these injuries to happen, but here are some common ones as far as human beings go. A car crash could give you these injuries. What else? A severe assault or beating. If someone is on the ground being kicked and attacked, that could definitely create a lot of these injuries. Assault or beating, forgot the A in there. Okay. A long fall, if they fell off a cliff, if they fell off a building, if they fell, I don't know, out of an airplane. There you go. And one that you might not think of, if someone falls into a really rough river with lots of rapids, okay, so drowning in moving water where the body gets banged and smashed against things. Even after they drown, some of those injuries might have happened as the body was being carried downstream. So drowning in moving water can cause injuries like that. And again, with this sort of question, you use your imagination a little bit. Okay? All right. Let's see. That brings us to the end of that one.